Let's get good. I am the gamer under development, and this is Endless Space 2 Awakening. We are going to be starting an Unfallen playthrough today, and the reason we're doing that is because on the last video we had both Vaulters and Unfallen requested, and there is already a Vaulters playthrough here on the channel. Now, it's not a completed playthrough, I apologize for that, but there is some info out there on how to play the Vaulters if you want to look at it in that long format. The reason we're not doing the first faction that came up on the tutorial list, because we did do a tutorial poll a little while back, is because this is just going to be a standard Let's Play. It's not going to be a tutorial. It won't be that brief. Anyways, I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. I've never actually, well, I've played as the Unfallen, but not long enough to even get a feel for them. They're probably the faction I'm least experienced with in Endless Space 2. Which is exciting. That's why I enjoyed the Vodyani playthrough, was because I hadn't revisited them in a long time either. So I know so little about the Unfallen, we're actually going to take a look at their faction traits and their faction story here real quick before we dive in. The Unfallen have only ever known their homeworld of Koyasil, preferring to peaceably study what is near rather than discover what is far. They were content with this slow development that they refer to as the long sleep. They're like sloths. I love these guys already. The period from their rise to sentience to the modern era. The modern era was rudely thrust upon them by a galactic skirmish in the skies above and the debris it rained upon their planet. Seeing fire fall from the skies and viewing the violence of other races firsthand changed their image of their role in the galaxy. Having an intimate relationship with fire as both fire that destroys and fire that renews, they view themselves as guardians of peace and harmony in a galaxy that seems to be badly in need of both. Interesting. So they basically just want everybody to put the weapons down. But it's weird because, like, I don't understand the fire that destroys versus fire that renews thing. I don't know what that actually means, but I guess we'll find out more about that in their faction quest. So let's take a look now at their affinity, Celestial Vines. I know how this works, but we're going to go through it. Harmony is everything to the Unfallen, and they seek to gain a peaceful stranglehold on the galaxy by spreading their tendrils across the stars. Adjacent systems are colonized by sending out vine ships and embedding beacons that attract the vines. Can use their ships to expand their tendrils to adjacent systems. When a system is anchored this way, they can colonize it or let it provide bonuses, approval, and population growth to friends. Also grants a 1,000 defense bonus to their home system. See, I didn't know about the bonuses they could provide to friends there. That's actually a really nice little thing. Looking at their population, an ancient race who have lived simple, harmonious lives for millennia, the Unfallen seek peace with the other races of the galaxy. +5 food on fertiles, +2 food. They also start as pacifists, and we'll probably try to stay pacifists with them for the majority of the game. I'm generally an economic player anyway, so that's not a big deal for us. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that this will give us a really good opportunity to just see the power of the pacifism political tree right from the get-go. Off-world agribusiness. So they start with off-world agribusiness, that is infinite supermarkets and xenosynergy. Obviously, diplomacy is important for them, so that makes sense. Planetary landscaping, they generate more food, so getting the food to production improvement that's way up there, that's going to be something we want to do, I'm sure. Guardians. So this, to me, is one of the more unique mechanics. Their connection to the ancient ways of the galaxy allow them to awaken guardians on forest planets. Oh, so it's only on forests. Allows discovery of guardians on planets that are not sterile, or planets that are not sterile. Guardians reinforce systems defense and approval, but also provide influence to their owner and their friends while penalizing enemies. Interesting. So essentially you have treants that come alive on enemy planets, or friendly planets, and either help or hurt them. Harmonious 2, plus 8 piece per system on, or per piece on systems, plus 16 per alliance on systems, is a people who are deeply committed to pacifist ideals. All instances of friendly relations with other species give a bonus to approval. So I guess with that, you can kind of ignore your expansion limits a lot more if you're keeping peace with everybody. That's kind of a cool thing. Mutual understanding. Due to technical and operational collaboration, this faction increases module damage and has more efficient invasions per each allied faction. Plus 10% damage per friendly major faction on ships, plus 10% troops damage per friendly major faction on Empire. So maintaining peace is going to be core to our strategy, like that's a have to do. Resilient, the civilization has a natural focus on emergency management and stockpiling so it can better survive cataclysmic events like Obliterator's missiles. Adds an Obliterator shield to your home system. Yeah, that I know that was a thing they had to add because the Obliterators were absolutely devastating. So Koyasil is an ancient world, its origins lost to the mists of time. Koyasil's entire landmass is now one vast primeval forest. How long ago the Unfallen rose from the gloomy, silent woodlands is uncertain, but most historians who have studied the species of the galaxy place them as one of the oldest. In the depths of the forest, a sense of timelessness reigns supreme, and it is said a fallen tree will lay undisturbed for millennia, its very fabric becoming another layer of the forest. The Unfallen strive for little content in their ageless world, but the stirrings of younger races across the galaxy has awoken something in Koyasil. Something ancient, mysterious, and powerful. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, so I'm excited now, because I want to see what their actual story is. Looking at our ships real quick, we've got our Heart-class ship, which is an explorer. We've got the Vine ship, which, you know, spreads our vines. The Thorn class is our attacker. The Loam class is our support. I love these naming. The Fire class is attack, and this is... I'm really interested in what role fire plays in their civilization. The Light class, named for representing the light philosophy of harmony. Okay. Forest class, named for its size and ability to support large populations. And then, of course, we've got our behemoths. Alright, cool. I like that. We're gonna go with them, obviously. Here's our settings, because people are always asking, what are our settings? Well, here they are. We're doing 8 competitors, we're on serious game difficulty. I think we might bump that up to impossible. Yeah, let's bump that up to impossible. We did impossible on the Vodyani playthrough and we were fine. So we'll do impossible here. Game speed is going to be fast just because we like to finish these series in about 30 episodes. Pirate difficulty is set to normal. We could go higher, but honestly, the pirates are kind of a nuisance, and I don't necessarily feel like they add as much to the gameplay as they can detract. We could go hard, though. We'll go hard. We'll go hard and see what happens. Okay, Spiral 8 Galaxy, because we do have 8 competitors. We could switch over to a different galaxy, perhaps, but I really like the Spiral 8. And then number of constellations is few, galaxy size is medium, which is recommended for 6 players. Let's bump that up to large, which is recommended for 8. And then galaxy density, I'm leaving at medium, but we could go higher, maybe. Nah, let's go medium. Let's go medium, that's like closest to the defaults. I like to keep my settings close to the defaults. The only thing I really like messing with is the speed. In all these other areas, I haven't really changed anything. Structure and content, everything is basically the same. Nothing there has been significantly changed or even altered at all, I would assume. Let's turn timers off. That was from our last multiplayer session. We don't really need that. Super weapons are on, unique randoms are on, conquest victory is off, and score victory are off. Those are the 2 that I usually turn off because to me it doesn't make sense to end the game just because somebody... like, everybody wants to sprawl across the map, so you shouldn't just be like, well, this person sprawled enough, they win, and the score victory is just a way to limit it by turns, and that's not necessarily decisive, and I don't enjoy that, so those are off. Our enemy factions here are going to be the Sophons, the United Empire, the Cravers. I usually like to use Sophons, UE, and Cravers as just like a base sampling of the core game. They really do represent the different bents of the core game, in my opinion, better than some of the other factions. And then, of course, we have all the DLC factions. So we have Nakalim, Valters, Hisho, and Umbral Choir, just to add some spiciness to the mix. And here we go. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. We spent about 9 minutes reading the history and talking about game settings. It's not too much. I want to try to just chill and enjoy this. I actually know very, very little about the Unfallen, so I want to just be able to explore the lore and enjoy this playthrough. Starting with this awesome cinematic, because all the cinematics are great. Come on. You can do it, computer. We know. You can load. Are you having a hard time there? Do you need a pet? Will a pet help? Maybe not. Come on. You can do it. There we go.
Ignorant of other worlds, of other races, we slumbered for ages. We were even ignorant of ourselves. For we knew fire as rebirth, renewal, life, not as death, from above as from below. The carnage of the flames terrified us, but the heart soothed us, and we thought long about what we must do. For this new fire also awoke things inside us. Talents, truths, and a desire to heal the galaxy. Everything begins with fire. But we will not let everything end with fire.
Very, very cool. So when they say the heart, one of my first inclinations here, if you follow the lore, is that the Unfallen, their planet may actually be one of the Lost. One of the surviving Lost. That would actually be kind of cool. So we'll see if that ends up being a thing. That was just a really cool cinematic, and the two empires we saw sort of crash land on their home system, Koyasil, I believe it was the UE and the Riftborn there, and I guess they watched the UE like shoot down that Riftborn, and that like scared them and riled them up, and now they're in space, and that's awesome. I love this so far. Very fond of the lore they're running with, and I'm very interested once again in whether or not Koyasil is considered a lost. It'd be kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of the starting planets kind of have that lost vibe though, so it's hard to tell. I guess we'll see in time. Let's go ahead and take a look at our population real quick. It's a good way to start. I just want to make sure we know what our minor is. We don't start with a minor, we do start with the Guardians though. So with the Guardians, we get +5 happiness, +20 influence if owner is friendly with factions having Guardians, -20 influence if owner is enemy of factions having Guardians, and 200 damage done to attackers during ground battles. Whoa, okay, so invasion becomes much easier when you have Guardians on the system. Very cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at our political stuff. We're probably not going to be able to pick the stuff we want until turn 2. That's okay though. What's our happiness like? That's actually a really good question. Only content right now. That's surprising because we do have a lot of approval bonuses. So we'll probably want Green Fertility Bill or Trusted Broker here. Green Fertility Bill is going to depend on how many anomalies we have on our home system, which currently we have 2 Guardians. So that's not really going to be beneficial. We do have Hostile Fauna here. So we'll probably go for the reduced diplomacy costs, and that means we'll want to find neighbors that we can diplomatize very, very soon. So we've got a vine ship here. Let's go take a look at the base design of this. Just want to see if there's any other support slots there or not. So we basically have an engine and a vine beacon. Now if we take the engine off, can we add another vine beacon? We cannot. Okay, so we can't spam vine beacons to speed things up. And they don't actually have a speed listed, they just do the thing. So all we can do if we want to colonize faster is create more vine ships, which is fine. Let's go ahead and take a look at our exploration vessels. Got a weapon, got a couple armor slots, got 2 support slots. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is create a explorer. Now, I know we already have an exploration vessel, we have the questioner or whatever, but this one's going to be a little different. All it's going to be is 2 engines. That's all we really need. The questioner is going to be able to scan down planets for us, whereas the explorer is actually just going to find new planets for us. Sacred Harvest, population transformation, more right than a construction. This accepts the voluntary sacrifice of a guardian in order to improve the morale of the system population. Full of the sonorous language of the Unfallen, ancient rites of fire, and clouds of smoke and dust, it is as impressive and moving as it is encouraging and renewing. Fire is present as a symbol both of death and life, and dust, like fumes, uplifts and invigorates the population. Interesting. So if we burn a guardian, we essentially generate more happiness? It's not very clear on what we generate there, but it seems to be happiness. If it changed that guardian into another base population, for example, that might be something we'd be interested in, but I don't know if we do that turn 1 anyway, because then we're just losing a pop for no reason. Okay, production-wise, what do we want? Looking at our base values for our empire, we're generating quite a lot of everything except for science, so it may be better to start here with cerebral, and then we'll get drone networks, after which we'll probably grab sustainable farms or infinite supermarkets, one or the other. I think sustainable farms and then infinite, just because it makes more sense, I think, to get our population growing first. Speaking of population, we should actually go see what our booster is. It is Deciduous Clouds. I think that's what those are. I honestly, there's so many luxury resources that sometimes I forget them. Dark Glitter. Okay. Dark Glitter, that's fine. we don't mind burning dark glitter. It's not a phenomenal resource anyway. We don't need to colonize our second planet right away if we don't want to, but doing so will give us access to this titanium and Hyperium, so I think it's a very good thing for us to do maybe right there. Maybe sooner, actually. We can get it in one turn, so we might as well. We'll get it in one turn, and then for research, we're definitely going to start with xenolinguistics and plasma metallurgy here, because we do have a planet with both of those resources, after which we can plan something else. That gives us 7 turns of research. We don't need to be so far ahead that it's problematic. We've got our new explorer vessel. Let's take a look at our hero and see what he can do. Or they can do. I don't even know. We should actually read the description, because that's a good start. Luna Barxis had found her place. See? This is why I gotta read these. Or so she thought. Ensconced in a flowering grove in the center of a bustling forest metropolis, Luna Barxis was on the verge of metamorphosis into the final stage of unfallen life when errant missiles falling from the wars of some other species in the sky above her planet erupted around her. Dust-fueled explosives tore up the boulevards and shattered the peace she had sought for so long. Though many Unfallen were thrown into madness, Luna Barxis had been so close to a state of final repose that she was able to pause, sink her roots deep, and slowly absorb and assimilate the dust. The dust gradually sharpened Luna Barxis' mind and senses, providing her so much more information and so many new intellectual vistas that she decided to put off the transition from being an exploring second to becoming a sedentary third. She now wanders the universe, calmly providing aid where she can and still looking for a place to call home. Lovely. Okay, so the dust got into her system and now she's just like wiser, basically, which I'm great. I think that's awesome. Okay, 5% health regeneration on fleets when she's on the fleets, plus 15 dust just for being assigned to a system. I could have, I guess, seen that over here. Anyways, moving forward, taking a look at her tier 1 abilities, or actually probably better to look at her end state abilities. So fleet regeneration is a big boost from her. Does she have any speed boosts, though? Because more often than not, speed boosts are the decider on whether we want somebody to be a fleet commander or not. She is a Seeker, so she does have Seeker speed boost. So this may actually end up being our first fleet commander rather than system governor. So that being the case, we'll want to look at her ship and see how we want to set that up. She's already got 1 engine. We don't want to go with a second right now because none of our other ships have 2 engines. So what we can do, though, is put a couple probes on. I think that's probably a good idea. And then we will assign her to our Questioner fleet, I think, or maybe our Vine Ship fleet, actually. If we assign her to the Questioner fleet, then we get more scanning with her. But if we assign her to the Vine Ship fleet, then she can at least defend the Vine... Well, I guess she can defend the Vine Ship either way. So let's do this. Scan down our Guardian here. Okay, so we got a Guardian on Siffy. I think that'll stay there until we colonize it, perhaps? I don't know. That'll be interesting. So if we... Oh, we didn't scan this Siffy. Guardians can only be awakened by searching. Did we get the Guardian here? We did not. Interesting. So let's go ahead and scan the Guardian on Siffy 3 and see if when we colonize it, we automatically start with another pop. Because if that's the case, then it's worth it to scan beforehand. Otherwise, we may want to wait until we colonize those. Typically, when we know that there's like a potential for population, I'll wait. Okay. That done. Let's send them along the star lanes. Go, little Vine Ship, go. Oh, that's not good. So our star lane has some distance on it. It's going to be a hot second before we can vine something. Speaking of vining something, once we get our first couple of production things down, we should definitely build more vine ships. That's going to be a big priority for us. Luna Barxis, we already assigned you. New luxury resource discovered, dark glitter. Well, we didn't discover it, but we need it. Here we go.
Shattered by the arrival of violent alien species upon the world of Koyasil. The people called the Unfallen have been shocked out of their ages of slumber, and their treasured ideals of harmony and unity are being challenged. You are the voice of this contemplative and powerful people. Now that your curiosity and fear has been awakened, you must leave the whispers of the world heart. Venture into the galaxy and impose harmony upon the stars. Everything begins with fire. but you cannot let it end with fire.
See, the Whispers of the World Heart makes me think that Koyasil is a Lost. What's interesting here, though, is that if Koyasil is a Lost, Koyasil is advising the Unfallen to go out and make sure the galaxy doesn't burn. So what does that tell us about the Lost? I would say that that's a pretty good indicator that the Lost are, like, peaceable. I don't know that they're these big tyrants, which is what the Endless and the Vidyani would kind of have us believe. Oh, hello. I'm very happy with this. Very, very happy with this. This is just lovely right here. 5 planets is a great system to have right next to our starting system, and there looks to be something very interesting on that planet. There's like something on the surface, which I don't know if that's an indicator of what might be here in this subterranean thing, or actually it's probably this. The Fallen Gardens. Okay, that's what it is. Minus 5% ship cost on system. Wow. Okay, so that's amazing, right? Because if we get this and we start going, we can essentially use this to pump out vine ships faster and then colonize the rest of the galaxy. That is a heck of a start. Okay, we are on turn 2 though now, which means that it is an okay time to put Trusted Broker on. However, Trusted Broker provides a diplomacy thing, or a diplomacy effect, and since we don't have anyone to be diplomatic with, there's no reason for that as of yet. Going with green fertility here for a couple turns isn't necessarily a bad thing. We do have one anomaly, although it's not on a planet that we actually inhabit, so maybe not. Maybe it would have been better to leave those anomalies unexplored, because I don't know if unexplored anomalies will count. I mean, they probably don't, right? Because it has to actually be an anomaly. So does this provide anything at all if we don't have anomalies? Let's see. It looked like it did. Yeah, it's... Oh, no, Cool Copies is the starting one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it does. I think we probably just wasted influence by even assigning that. That is an interesting starting position right there, where we're not necessarily gaining anything from our first law right away. We awoke ages ago. The first of us came to life fully conscious, as if from one day to the next, the dawn changed us. We did not worry ourselves with this sorry. I was caught up in the image right here. Like, you can see different Unfallen, and then there's like a big one that's winded into a tree. That's a really interesting, and there's like a little bit of tech on the back of that one too, so it's interesting how their culture works. Anyways, we did not worry ourselves with this. However, for ages we simply grew and thought, listening to the heart and learning about our world. Koyasil. We sunk our roots deep into the soil to see what lay beneath. We gazed at the stars and tracked their passage across the sky. Why seek anything else? What more is required of life? Then these others came, bringing their conflicts and their violence, driving us into self-doubt and confusion. To ask, where did they come from, is a brief step away from asking, and where did we come from? We hear the murmurs of the heart, and it soothes us. It speaks to us of serenity and strength, but the old reassurances are no longer enough. They fade with the old vision of the universe. It seems we are one small clod of dirt in an unthinkably vast galaxy. And now we must raise our limbs, shake out our roots, and look beyond Koyasil. Some say we do not need to look outward. We have Koyasil and the heart, and they will protect and guide us. Some say that the new knowledge is critical to our future, that the violence and aggressive science of the others must be controlled. I do not back either side in this debate. I would not see us limited to Koyasil, nor would I see us enslaving the others. Wow, okay, so those are the only two options. Like, it's either we're gonna stay here and leave everybody alone, or we're gonna take over the entire galaxy and enslave everybody. The enslaving, the use of the word enslaving there is actually the thing that throws this off for me. Because there's a big difference between we're going to be peacekeepers and we're going to enslave everybody. I'm just throwing that out there. So possessing 2 anomalies in our empire would take us down the no route. Some Unfallen insist that we must grasp the new sciences, the new ways to understand ourselves. Thirds become ships, and ships explore. Anomalies can be found by studying curiosities. Or we can grow, which is possess 3 new star systems. The Unfallen can reach across star systems, linking them together by the will of the heart. Some Unfallen insist that only these old ways can guide our new future. Send a root ship to an uncolonized system and use the implant beacon. Fleet action tendrils can only be used to colonize adjacent systems. So the rewards from No are a random technology, which is great. The rewards from Grow are Red Sang, which isn't anything particularly special. However, I can't actually tell which one of those is going to be easier to complete. There are a lot of anomalies on this system that could be researched. There's one there already, actually. So, in theory, as soon as we get this, we should control 2 anomalies in our empire. In theory, because I'm not sure if the Fidzy gains count that or not either. But that's a good way to find out. I mean, if we get completion of the quest as soon as we get Nakos, then it's a pretty good sign that this will count towards our Fidzy boost from our law as well. How many turns do we have on this? Does it tell us? 7. Wow, okay. It's gonna be a hot second. Let's go with no here. Some Unfallen insist that we must grasp the new sciences, the new ways to understand ourselves. Thirds become ships and ships explore. Lovely, let's do that. I think that's better anyway. Like, I've never been a traditionalist, so to speak. Like, it's a lot better to just be open to new experiences, right? Okay, so we're gonna check out probably the things that are easier to colonize here, so it'll be steppes and then barrens. Hey, that's actually a great resource for us. Sorry, folks. My throat is being uncooperative this morning. So we've got the large barren here as well. We can go ahead and investigate that. Although we could save those atmospherics for when we get the actual, like, community quest to do atmospherics. That might actually be a better idea. And we can actually, since we're splitting off here, I think what we should do is probably just send a probe down that way. And then continue our explorations. No, not the vine ship. These guys. There we go. The vine ship needs to stay here. Good. Yeah, you stay there, do your viney thing. Alright. I think that's probably a good way to go with those. Still waiting on xenolinguistics. Man, I feel like we should just be grinding out vine ships right now, because it's going to take a very long time for us to colonize anything. Free movement is very nice. +7 production or food on system isn't going to be huge. Production. That is not production. Production is much better than that. Okay, so we're going to go with that. Better free movement speed on our fleet, which means unlocking free movement is something that we should probably prioritize. We also know that we should prioritize getting steppes. So let's go take a look at where steppes are on here. Tundra, Mediterranean. I mean, the easier way would be to do this. Steppe? There we go. Okay, so for us to get there, we're going to need xenobiology, so we'll add that to our queue as well. Is there anything over here that we specifically want to add? We should probably do efficient shielding sooner than later. By turn 10-ish, we're going to probably need some combat ships to fend off pirates. So that makes sense to just get started. Expedition successful on Nakos 1. We got some dark glitter there that we could potentially pop to boost our population. Yes, we can. Let's do it. Okay, more food. Lovely. That'll at least help us grow our population a little bit faster. More population means more production, more everything, so we definitely want to do that. Hey, look, there's another system called Indusa. Looks to be only 2 planets, though, so not a really great system. Although, as the Unfallen, we don't have to weigh our systems as much because we're going to vine everything. Having to vine everything is definitely a different type of thing, because it does mean that, like, instead of us really focusing in on only getting great planets, we only have to choose which planets we colonize. We want to vine everything. Here we are at Gistrid. Let's go ahead and shoot a probe down that lane and then come this way. See what we can find. Going back over here, Xeno-Industrial is definitely something we want in queue. We can put it right there. Yeah, that's probably best. Okay, cool. Early turns are going pretty quickly. I like that. I like that. We are now generating titanium. Soon we'll have Hyperium as well, and that'll get us working towards the Endless Research Park and Theme Park, or whatever it's called. The first wonder that's awesome. Your soul hero, graduate of the Academy and Dust Adept, has requested an audience. Something has awakened, they confide. The Academy has registered emissions that they do not recognize. The source is certainly an endless manufactured transponder. They do not wish to explain further, claiming the Academy oaths bind them from saying more on the subject of how the signal was identified. They show their loyalty, however, in helping you discover the most efficient way to uncover the truth. Whatever the artifact is, it must be powerful and certainly had military applications. Further investigation of military technologies should provide a clue. Endless technology is safest when it is in your hands, not someone else's. So this is a competitive quest to unlock 27 technologies from the military quadrant. So we're not really gonna rush that, I don't think. I mean, there are some benefits to rushing that. Like, if we take first, we get some Jadanics and we reveal the Behemoth technologies, but the Behemoth technologies get revealed no matter what, so it's not a big deal. I think we'll just not even worry about it. That's fine. Unfallen pop growing on Sylphie again. Oh, and we did get that Guardian. We did get that Guardian, which is great because it's automatically generating our titanium for us. So finding Guardians before we colonize the system is actually okay. Vine Ship has 5 turns left on that. Okay. Early turns going quick here, very nice. And we have Plasma Metallurgy, which means now we're going to have that source of Hyperium. The Unfallen population has grown to 7. Xeno-Industrials is in queue. And now we're working on Xenobiology, which will let us colonize tundras. Although so far we have not found anything colonizable like that. In fact, we haven't found a single colonizable system anywhere, which is kind of cumbersome. So if we look over here now, this is something to consider. Oh, the tooltip for interplanetary is missing. Well then, to the science tree. It's missing down there too. So if I'm not mistaken, interplanetary transport networks is like +3 production per population on systems with strategic resources. So in this case, if we moved everybody over here and we built this, we would get a lot more production. So I think we're going to prioritize that and do that, but for right now we'll leave them over here where it makes more sense. They are both fertile planets though, so Xeno-Industrial is going to give us +20... +40 production on system, which is lovely. Actually, that one's temperate as well, so +50 production on system. That's going to be a huge, huge boost for us. And then I think we'll put some Vine ships in right after that. Maybe like 2 more. 2 more Vine ships should be plenty, I think, to get us going on our expansion through the galaxy. And what do we have here? What do we got? Perseus up there. Still no planets that we can colonize. We really need to prioritize getting colonization techs here. More Unfallen population on Sylphie though. Our pop is growing like ridiculously fast. Basic warp drives have been improved, nano repair bots are now available. And we get Studier of Worlds, be the first to have 8 planets colonized within your empire. That is probably not going to be us, based on our lack of colonization technology. We definitely want this one now. Yeah. And I think we may actually prioritize that. Actually, we won't. We'll put it back here, and the reason why is because we have how many turns left on this? 3. So we don't need the tech before we get this, basically. Unless there's steps here, but I don't think there are. No, there's not. Alright, folks, that is gonna be it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to go ahead and give us a like or subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. Bye!